Guys, what is going on? How y'all doing all tonight? We're in front of the green screen here and presenting just a different background for a change. This is the Club of the Man 1993, and I am here live for the first time in a while for a special topic stream. So I haven't really done any top 10 specials for a while. I know back in September I said I was going to try to bring them back. Unfortunately, though, work got really crazy for the past couple months. Dying down right now, so I'm not as overwhelmed and hectic. I'm not in the middle of a tough position with my video game Let's Plays or anything. And, I'm trying to focus on other things right now in life and get some wheels really rolling in 2021 this year. But, I miss doing these special streams, and I've started throwing together some lists. And of course, since I was too busy in December to do any of this, I'm going to do most of these now in January, as we already are in the 11th of January, actually, but better than late than never. So, obviously, I have several, top 5, top 10 specials I'm going to be doing this month regarding topics from 2020, best and worst in wrestling. Basically, this year I'm going to keep WWE's separate from AEW's. AEW's going to have its own stream talking about some of its best and worst as well. But before we actually get to any of the streams involving best and the worst, I want to talk about a topic, one of the biggest, disappointments. I wouldn't say disappointments, but one of the biggest downfalls of 2020 in the wrestling industry. And that is the black and gold brand, NXT. For years, within the past decade, it's been known as WWE's developmental system. But of course, over time, it became better than the main roster, more popular than the main roster, much more must-see than the main roster. It was the A show. It was the show that everyone knew they could turn on and they would not be disappointed. I mean, yes, you had little, flukes here and there, but every show, especially takeovers, were must-see and were memorable and were ones that everyone always wanted to watch. And 2020, until the pandemic, started off really great. NXT TakeOver Portland was one of the best takeovers of all time, I gotta say. It may be in my top 3. But after that show, it's when NXT started taking a dip. And I don't know if a lot of people just were heartbroken. I mean, I know a lot of people, believe it or not, I know of, were starting to get turned away because of the heel turn of Johnny Gargano. But then, of course, when the pandemic started happening, and a lot more things started getting taken away, and other things started happening, NXT, by the end of this year, I must say, 2020, in my opinion, was, in my opinion, the worst year for NXT. The shows were decent, solid, maybe on an average, but as far as great, the storytelling, the character development, the moments, just the stellar action we used to get, just feels so distant right now with the black and gold brand. And it's unfortunate. But I will say this to start off with. The position they're in right now, to me, is not NXT's fault. It's not the talent's fault. It's more so the pandemic. But there's still some things that do need to change, or some things that will help NXT become the must-see show it once was. So, the big question is, what happened in 2020 with NXT? What were the issues that have got us to where we are today, with it now being a show that not many people are watching? I have come up with a list of 5 issues from 2020 and 5 ways in 2021 that we can resolve these issues. So, if you're live in the live chat, what's up, Mark? Thank you. Or if you're watching this afterwards, feel free to leave your thoughts down in the comment section below or the live chat. What are some of your reasons as to why NXT had its worst year in 2020? What about also, how would you fix them? Or is really the main thing is you just gotta wait till the pandemic ends? Again, mostly, I think the pandemic's gonna help revive it. Because we're going to start off with the first issue that I think has hurt this year was the loss of the audience. NXT was really built well on their audience. The crowds were always energetic, always into the shows, coming up with different chants, and the thing is also, unlike Raw and Smackdown, NXT listened to their audience. They did the transitions from different, character dynamics, or, who gets the push and whatnot, the directions for everyone, based off of the audience. They listened to the audience, they obviously, pulled the strings on the audience as well. They made us feel they felt the emotions, and the stories, develop partially based off of the audience. They're the ones that helped NXT writers figure out who the stars were. They were the ones that helped the direction to where these should be going to, these new talents coming in. And I personally think without that audience, and NXT is now playing the whole piped in noises and everything, or like having their audience cheer and boo wherever they want to, that's very main roster like. That's acting like, they're in control. Johnny Gargano, which he's going to be talked about a few times in this video, I'm pretty sure. Johnny Gargano turned heel back at NXT TakeOver Portland. And, it's true. At the time, Johnny Gargano was not really getting the babyface reaction he once was. He was getting mixed reactions, and the crowd kind of cooled off on him. So if he was staying in NXT, turning him heel was a nice looking gamble, especially how it fit into the storyline with him and Tommaso Ciampa, coming full circle again, and just showing that neither one of them was innocent in that story. They all had their pros, they all had their cons, and this, even though trying to make Tommaso Ciampa the purebred babyface was not the best idea and to finish off that feud, it still at least made sense to have both of them not look more innocent than the other and just basically finish off the even odds, basically. Johnny Gargano, though, is not going to be getting heavily booed as they're making it sound like with the piped in noises. So like you can bet when wrestling fans are allowed to come back, we're going to be getting the Johnny wrestling chants. We're going to be getting some people still giving Johnny the babyface reaction that he once was. Johnny Gargano is a heel, but he's not a heel because of how the normal NXT protocol has been. They listen. Well, okay, in some ways, yes, but the way they've been booking Johnny, again, I don't like it. I really, really don't like it whatsoever. Because my question is, how do you take your most beloved babyface, one of the best babyfaces in NXT history, and make him not just a heel, but one of the most unsuccessful heels you've booked on your roster? That's just kind of disappointing. That is just sad, and that is also kind of unprofessional. Well, I don't say unprofessional, but kind of pathetic. Another reason why, of course, I think what's hurting the audience, not having the audience there, is some of these newer stars are getting pushed, but we don't know for sure whether they're over or not. Some are, some aren't. Like, two names I want to bring up here. Shotzi Blackheart, Dexter Lumis. Two names being pushed as fresh baby faces. Like, new talents from, breakout tournaments or whatnot, being pushed as big baby faces, getting a big spotlight. And there are people who do like Shotzi Blackheart. There are those who like Dexter Lumis. The problem is those two, I feel, are the fresh talent that are getting, some heat or crap on the internet because, they feel like they're getting that shoved down our throat push. And why is that? Because there's no audience to literally react to them as to, how we really should be looking at these people. Do people find Dexter Lumis entertaining as like a creepy comedy type babyface? Do people think Shotzi Blackheart is likable? They're both talented, don't get me wrong, but the problem is when you bring in a new talent in a system that is meant to be building stars, and you don't know how they're truly reacting because you have them being the crowd noise is under corporate's control. That hurts. Like when you get back to the audiences, are people going to be rejecting Dexter Lumis as a babyface? Because a lot of people think Dexter Lumis should be a heel. Are they going to reject Shotzi Blackheart? Or are they going to love her? That's the problem. When you don't have the audience there that you heavily relied on in the past to give, the reactions to determine where this person is over or not, it hurts your roster. So who really wants to see a feud with Dexter Lumis and Cameron Grimes? Or, like, all other, fresh talent getting these opportunities? Like, some people buzzing on the internet we know. But, like I said, with the audience not there, we're not going to be able to tell. Another thing involving the audience that I want to mention is a certain voice that left the company earlier this year. And that's Mauro Ranallo. Mauro, no doubt about it, is one of the best commentators WWE has had within the past 10 years. In the PG era especially. He brought energy, enthusiasm. You felt like an actual fan was actually talking about this show. And of course also, he was definitely even better when he didn't have Vince McMahon in his ear. Obviously, Mauro Ranallo has dealt with, depression issues most of his life. But obviously also, he felt it was time to move on. There was other things he was interested in doing. He wanted to, work like, some other different, gigs and whatnot. And I respect that. But man, losing that voice took away even more of that energy that not only the NXT crowd had, but, the announcing team had. Vic Joseph and Wade Barrett are not bad announcers. They are good at their jobs. Problem is they're not Mauro Ranallo's. And a year that's left a bunch of people feeling sad, feeling down, feeling frustrated after everything we've gone through. Losing more energy after getting your crowd taken away, that just put more of a cherry on top of it all. Not having one of your best voices on the microphone. So, to me, probably the biggest reason why NXT has fallen off in 2020 is the crowd, the reactions, like the people that the wrestlers work off of. They're supposed to feed off of them. They're supposed to go along with the reactions, and of course with it being developmental, it's supposed to be. It helps them. The creative team discover what's working, what is not working, who is the stars here, and who really is not the stars. Who we need to keep rolling with, and who we have to make changes with. That I feel like is the biggest hit that NXT has had this year. So that is the first issue I wanted to discuss. The second one I want to discuss: loss of talent. We had some superstars out with injury for some portions of the year. We also had quite a few called up to the main roster. We'll get into, of course, as far as, talent being thin. But listen to these names that got called up. Well, here's the thing. We not only had a lot of people due to being called up, we also lost talent technically due to respect, due to allegations outside of the ring. So, when you go and take talent like Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, Dominic Dijakovic, Mia Yim, and Shayna Baszler is another one. And a few more, I believe, that happened, but they took some big named wrestlers that was really on fire in NXT. And since 2019, obviously it's shown that there's people who can go back to NXT, like Tyler Breeze or Finn Balor, or even this year we had Ember Moon. We also had Killian Dane go back. Oh goodness, who else was there? There's a few others. Fandango, you name them. There was some talent that went back to NXT. There were some people like Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Velveteen Dream, Adam Cole, several talents who, in my opinion, should have been called up ages ago if it was old protocol. But of course, NXT going to 2 hours in the fall of 2019, and just people catching on to how badly the main roster is booked. A lot of people who are staying in NXT are coming back. So we still have them, but you're losing another bunch of big names. And through all of that, now again, when I go back to the thing of saying how, new talent need to be built from scratch, like a Dexter Lumis or a Cameron Grimes or a Bronson Reed, a Damian Priest, Tegan Knox, Toni Storm, Candice LeRae, Karrion Kross, so many other talents that are coming in, and again, you don't have anyone reacting to them. So, who's going to want to tune into your product if, part of the thing that gives it the energy and lights the fire under these wrestlers is the audience? When you're losing talent that are already established, you got a problem there. So, we had those. Another problem, of course, through that, again, is respect. So, it was mostly some stars in the NXT UK, but if you in NXT, well, Matt Riddle went to the main roster, but we had one superstar who was on the verge of stardom and was supposed to be called up to the main roster this summer. I heard rumors he was supposed to be called up after dethroning Adam Cole of the NXT Championship, and he was going to drop it to Karrion Kross at TakeOver 30. Of course, that would not have happened. Keith Lee would not have gotten his money moment at the NXT Grand American Bash back in July. Velveteen Dream, since his match against Aleister Black at NXT TakeOver War Games in 2017, he was on the rise of being the next megastar, one of the next big things in the company. He had a long reign with the NXT North American Championship in 2019, and he was definitely due to be an NXT champion. As I said before, original plans were for him to dethrone Adam Cole, and he would hold the championship in the summer of 2020, and he was going to drop it to Karrion Kross at TakeOver 30. Well, we all know that he got those allegations against him, and I'm not going to go into those. And I'm still going to say it, I feel like WWE is still handling the situation poorly. It's killed his career. Like even when he is back, he feels like a nobody because nobody wants to get behind him. Not as a babyface and not as a heel. They turned him heel when he came back because obviously no one's going to want to cheer for him after the things he's been accused of. He was out from June until right before TakeOver 30, but reports are saying he was only out due to the car accident. Not the allegations, the car accident. But WWE or NXT have not done any type of, stepping in, talking about, the allegations, more the backstory, giving us some type of clear direction as to what is going on with the Velveteen Dream backstage. They just brought him back and threw him right back into the North American title picture. And he's had matches since with Kushida, with Tommaso Ciampa, and Adam Cole. But this guy is just dead in the water. His star power cooled off drastically. And because of that, we lost one of the biggest stars in the company because, in my opinion, WWE did not give us fans that closure or that evidence to help us, feel clear as to what the heck happened. Is Velveteen Dream innocent? Is he guilty? We do not know. There were other superstars like Jack Gallagher, Travis Banks, and even Ligero, well, those two from NXT UK, who got the boot because of, what they did. Matt Riddle is under hot water, which of course now he has to be just Riddle on the main roster because if you search Matt Riddle, have some of his allegations, which is so dumb. But, just through respect, through hashtag speaking out, through people going to the main roster, the talent's running thinner. And like I said before, the new guys coming in, we're having a hard time determining where we like these people or not, because once again, there's no audience. But that's the second issue that NXT had in 2020 that has caused them to fall down. The third issue still sticks with, lack of talent. Veterans are hitting dead ends. So, you've brought back a few guys over the past couple years, especially whenever NXT went to 2 hours in 2019. They brought back, again, Fandango. They brought back Tyler Breeze. They brought back Finn Balor, Ember Moon, Killian Dane, a few others maybe could come back as well. But let's face it, we've been saying for ages, some talent just should not leave NXT. Some should go back to NXT. And I still think some talent on the main roster should go back to NXT. Not all of them, but of course, some. Even if it's not full time, periodically have some big special guest on the main roster come down to NXT, maybe get in a feud or two with someone. Well, I'm kind of jumping to, how to fix issues. But let's be honest. There's a lot of talents that are just hitting dead ends. Like Johnny Gargano or Tommaso Ciampa, Velveteen Dream. Adam Cole is also another one of them. Several others who has been at NXT for a long time, and at this point, they're just there putting on matches. Like, their artistic work feels done, now they're just there for the money, it feels like. And that's unfortunate because we know how talented these people are. And they still have many, many, many years ahead of them in the wrestling industry. So some of these guys like Tommaso Ciampa or Johnny Gargano who do not want to go up to the main roster. I mean, Tommaso Ciampa even said, a year or two ago, that if he went to the main, he was being told to go to the main roster, he'd retire. Because he does not trust the main roster. Which I completely respect and agree with him. However, what else is there for him to do in NXT? Who else has he not feuded with in NXT? There could be other people he could feud with the title involved and whatnot. The problem is who is there right now? He's already had a match with Karrion Kross. He's had several matches with Finn Balor. I don't think he has a match with Kyle O'Reilly yet, but he's feuded with Adam Cole. Johnny Gargano. Out of Dexter Lumis, maybe, who knows? But he's had matches against all these names. So, now that he's still on NXT, but he has nothing left to do, then, it's like a lot of these veterans who had some very serious directions in NXT for the past several years, now they feel directionless. And you're trying to still keep their credibility, but the problem is what else can they do right now? Why do you think, people are not as big of fans of, Johnny Gargano or Adam Cole or Tommaso Ciampa or Finn Balor or a bunch of these other wrestlers that have just, not benefited much from this pandemic? So that's another problem I'm saying is veterans are hitting dead ends. They run into a situation like the main roster where it's like they're not sure what to do with a lot of these guys. And that ain't good for NXT. Number 4, unbalanced dynamics. I swear, for most of the time in NXT this past year, there was nothing but heel turns. Finn Balor was a heel. Adam Cole was still a heel at one point. Johnny Gargano was a heel. Velveteen Dream. Tommaso Ciampa turned back to be a heel. Now he's going to be able to look like a babyface again. I'm not sure for a fact. Probably see what happens after his feud with Timothy Thatcher. But there's so many people who are being booked as if they were supposed to be hated. Well, or they want us to boo them. Well, that leaves us with the question of who really is the top babyface then of NXT. You lost Matt Riddle, you lost Keith Lee, both to the main roster, you lost Velveteen Dream's respect. You're like, who, with Johnny Gargano being heel, Tommaso Ciampa being very back and forth and whatnot, Finn Balor, more of a tweener, Damian Priest probably has become more of a babyface since his match at TakeOver in your house. But again, is he really a full-on, purebred babyface? Like, there's no one in NXT right now. Well, I feel like they're trying to get there with Kyle O'Reilly, who's a purebred babyface, like a Sami Zayn or a Daniel Bryan or a Johnny Gargano, like that ultimate hero that just is in existence right now. And a good part of the reason why, again, a lot of people's turned heel. Just not too many superstars you look at and say that they're a top babyface, like a legitimate, babyface name that everyone's going to want to buy their t-shirts and whatnot for. That's missing. And without an actual hero, who are we going to want to see, overcome all the odds? So that's number 4. And number 5. Too many pay-per-view matches on live TV. So part of it also could be the actual, pay-per-view setups. I mean, they did do, TakeOver in your house. They tried to, set up special stages for, the other takeovers that have happened. But within the past few months, the last few pay-per-views, TakeOver 30, TakeOver 31, TakeOver War Games, the Odds and Ends, Halloween Havoc, New Year's Evil were thrown in there as well. But the rest of the shows are just like, oh, this is TakeOver 31, TakeOver 33. It's like, where's that theme? That's the other thing I used to praise NXT about, is that when they had a theme to their pay-per-view, they dug into it. Where if it was the presentation, the stories, entrances, you name it all. So, what is, when you have a roster that's beginning to thin out with talent, and you're putting these big money matches on live TV because you're competing with AEW. We'll talk about that when we get to how to resolve things in a second. Where you're competing with AEW, and your talent is thin, and you're giving away all these marquee money matches for pay-per-view. And now you're going to start running out of things to do with pay-per-views. That's why some of these pay-per-views have been kind of a little bit, not horrible, but lackluster compared to what they used to be. Why, TakeOver 31, War Games, and then, and so on. Those weren't some of the best takeovers because there was a dip in quality, and, like I said, the matches don't feel as special because a lot of these bigger matches have been given away on live TV. So, it's a tough deal, but that's just what it is, which will be resulting in 2 of my issues that I feel like we should fix. And, that's basically the issues. No audience, lack of depth, especially, I didn't mention this before, especially the tag team division. Where on earth are the established tag teams in NXT? I mean, yes, we have Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, we have Breezango, we have Everrise, but who cares about them? Still the Undisputed Era. We have the grizzled young veterans. So I feel like those are the next big names in NXT. And of course, then we have Drake Maverick and Killian Dane. We all know how much of a fan of a tag team that is, but none of them really have much of a story behind them. Imperium was tag team champions when they dethroned Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne earlier this year. Shoot, I completely lost my train of thought. Oh, Imperium, yes, Imperium. Awesome tag team. Yet they felt like placeholders with the tag titles. So, just had to add it in for the depth. So, the 5 ways we can fix this. Number 1, the first reason is shuffle with the main roster. Now, I'm not saying, put Roman Reigns in NXT long, for a year, or like Randy Orton, or Seth Rollins, don't just include NXT as like a third brand in the draft and send people to NXT and shuffle the roster around. No, like I said, NXT, even though it's being its own brand, still needs to feel, different and unique from the main roster. It can't feel like a third brand to WWE. However, though, it wouldn't hurt for like someone like a John Cena or a Randy Orton or Kevin Owens or Keith Lee, if you want to do so as well. Several other superstars like Sasha Banks and Bayley, who it wouldn't hurt for them to come to NXT for like a 1-week program or something like that. Or even some guys like Apollo Crews, Chad Gable, those two especially, Ricochet, Aleister Black, those that they're not doing anything with at all whatsoever. What's wrong with putting them back in NXT? They can have some matches against some of these stars. Like I'm sure Finn Balor would love to have a match with Ricochet. When Ricochet made his main roster debut and he tagged with Finn Balor for a match when Balor was the IC champion, I thought that was an awesome setup. I would have loved to have seen Finn Balor and Ricochet at some point. And in NXT, I'm sure that they would have gotten the right booking in that match. So, to add some depth, why not bring some superstars from the main roster for like a brief period who aren't really doing much on the main roster? Could add some depth, some dream matches that are going to be booked properly and not how they would be on the main roster. So, I think that's one way you could fix this. So there's one. The second one is establish a fresh babyface. And, part of that's not going to tie into my last issue to resolve this. But right now, is there really anyone in NXT who feel like they're going to be like, a white, purebred, the guy babyface? To me, the one person I still feel like they were, even though I don't know where we're going to go with them now that he lost to Finn Balor again last week, but the one person I would say is Kyle O'Reilly. They are really booking Kyle O'Reilly very interesting with him being built up to, he's had 2 attempts against Finn Balor for the NXT Championship. Not sure what was the point of the second match, but with how they're booking him, he feels like the next big baby face. And you could have him go toe-to-toe with, Karrion Kross or some sorts. But, of course, the next big money match in NXT, like the next Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano field type match, I still say, is Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly. I think we will get that match at some point in 2021. But if NXT can establish a strong babyface, a purebred babyface, the one person that everyone wants to see highlighting the shows and winning the matches and overcoming all the odds, I think that's going to be one huge step in the right direction for them. Number 3, the next 2, most of the rest of the ones basically has to do, with, TV and, the pandemic. Number 3, go back to 1 hour. Especially with how thin the talent is. And how we're getting a lot of repetitive things happening and not much more room for anything fresh. I think NXT should go back to 1 hour. It can stay live, of course, on the USA Network. They do deserve to be live. Problem is, though, is with losing talents due to releases or illness or call-ups and whatnot, obviously there's not as much developed talent to really put on a 2-hour show. I feel like if it was a 1 hour show, it'd be a little bit more bearable. But that's one reason I think we can fix is going back to 1 hour instead of 2. Another problem, they need to leave Wednesday nights. The war is over. AEW won. When you have Cody Rhodes, Sting, Darby Allin as TNT champion, Chris Jericho, MJF, Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega, bring in the Bullet Club to AEW, keep in mind. You really don't stand a chance, AEW. No matter how hard you try to do these shocking moments and whatnot, AEW is still going to win the war. I haven't kept track as to how many times each one is won, but AEW is winning this war. And with NXT not having much at all to compete with them, they need to not just go back to 1 hour. They need to go back to working on like Tuesday nights or Wednesday nights, because that will help them get more of an audience, get more recognized, and to me, it's the best business move, especially trying to get this show back on track. And then, finally, the best thing at this point, we all know NXT probably will not be the same again, as I said before. The biggest reason why, of course, is the pandemic and people not being able to be there. So, until then, unless if the internet is very detailed and, very, well written out as to make their cases, unless we have those reactions, I feel like NXT is not going to get back on track, or at least, get on that path again, until we start allowing crowds back. Again, those reactions, as I'm saying, are going to, make a huge difference. And whether or not they're going to start sooner or not, I don't know. At this point, I don't know if we're even going to be getting any live crowds again this year. But we'll have to wait and see. And with that being said, those are my, that's my show talking about what happened with NXT in 2020. Again, it's the lack of depth. Is it, the weird dynamics? Is it people being miscasted? Is it like Mauro Ranallo leaving? Too many takeovers? Too many pay-per-view matches being given away on free TV? What is it? What do you guys think is the biggest problem with NXT that came out of 2020? And how can they improve it going into 2021? Please leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. And be sure as always to slap a like on the video and subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Twitter at DemandAirBoy93. I'll be back here probably tomorrow for my AEW New Year's Smash review, probably from both shows. Maybe if I get time at some point in the next couple days, maybe I'll do another of these streams, but I still got to put together graphics. But lists are coming along really good. So I'm going to check out, guys. I'm tired. I've had a long day. I'm going to bed. I'll see you guys all later. Take care, everybody. Good night. Peace out, everybody.